Good afternoon and welcome to the November 10, 2023 meeting of the Rotary Club of Beavercreek. Thanks to David Brandenburg and Beth Handworker for greeting today. Thanks to Eric Marcus for getting us started in Ticketmaster duties. Thanks to our great program creators or bookers, Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Swick. Thanks to Jim Gundel, who I see is not here today, for taking care of our web and website and computer services. I would like to ask Debbie Jarvie to come forward for an invocation.
Well, good afternoon. Would you please join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, we pray that you continue to bless the work that we as Rotarians from many nations and many faiths do to help those less fortunate. For we believe that one manifestation of the golden rule is in our Rotary motto, service above self. Please give us intentional time of international time of peace on earth and goodwill towards men, inspired by the great leaders and philosophers who themselves were inspired by you, O Lord. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. So before we get to our secretary's report, I would like to ask all of our veterans to stand, please. Stay standing for just a second, and I'd just like us to take just a moment of silence and hope that all future veterans don't have to be veterans that served in combat. Thank you all. Appreciate it. All right. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
Yes, we're at 56% today, and we have two guests, Jaden.
I have my daughter Abby and Brianna with me today.
We need to assign one of them to be responsible for telling you that they're going to be announced and that you shouldn't be surprised by it every week. Any other guests? Okay, so on the subject of guests, next week is the Friends Show Choir. We love it. You know, lots of people love to bring guests. I'm going to send out an email, or may come from Dave Brandenburg, that asks you to respond if you are going to bring a guest, so we can make sure we have enough to feed everybody if we do have a big turnout. But I encourage you all to consider bringing a guest. It's a great show. Mayor-elect and Sergeant at Arms, Don Adams. Don, that is the most it's ever going to be.
Let's not honor him as the sergeant. Let's honor him as the mayor-elect.
Thank you. I don't know how to respond to all that. Today is November 10th. It's the 314th day of the year. It's amazing how fast this year's gone by. The last 4 months I thought would take forever, but they just flew by. It's amazing. So, today is American Frog Day, Area Code Day, Domino Day, Forget Me Not Day, National Vanilla Cupcake Day, Sesame Street Day. I'm sure you all remember that. It is the U.S. Marine Corps' birthday today. So thank you to our Marine. It's also Veterans Day that we're recognizing it. Tomorrow's Veterans Day, but it's recognized both days. So, and David took away what I was going to do. I was going to have all veterans stand, but they've already done this. So let's do it again. It is Windows Day. That's Microsoft. And World Keratoconus Day. I have no idea what that is. And also this week is the week you write your letter to Santa Claus. It's Dear Santa Claus Letter Week. In 1775, the U.S. Marine Corps was created. It's a long time ago. And in 1885, a German engineer unveiled the first motorcycle. In 1903, the windshield wiper was patented. I'm really glad they did that. 1908, for those of you that have traveled in the past, the first Gideon Bible was put in the hotel room. In 1918, the Western Union Cable Office in North Sydney, Nova Scotia, received a top secret coded message from Europe stating on November 11, 1918, all fighting would cease on land, sea, and the air. And Beth, you should know this one. In 1919, the first observance of National Book Week is today. 1919, American Legion's first national convention was held in Minneapolis. And this one I didn't know. In 1940, Walt Disney began serving as an informer for the Los Angeles field or office of the FBI. His job was to report bad information on Hollywood subversives. Yes. This is something probably will never happen again. In 1945, college football's #1 team, Army, beat Notre Dame 48-0. Wow. And in 1954, the U.S. Marine Corps War Memorial was dedicated by Dwight D. Eisenhower. In 1969, Sesame Street premiered on television. And I didn't realize Bernie had this record, but in 1991, Bernie Kosar ended his NFL record of 308 passes without an interception. That's a pretty good deal. And in 2020, the word of the year was lockdown. In the district, we have a birthday. She's not here, Beth Capelli. It was November 10th. We have a partner birthday. Chris Hadley's wife, Kayla, was on November 10th. And we have some member anniversaries. Nick Lundy, 15 years. Melissa Quinn, 0 years. And Mark Weinstein, 14 years. In my ongoing effort to give you guys useless information as often as I can, I thought I'd come up with a few interesting, strange facts. If you somehow found a way to extract all the gold from the bubbling core of our lovely little planet, you would be able to cover all the land in the world with a layer of gold up to your knees. McDonald's calls frequent buyers of their food heavy users. The average person, Joe, you might respond to this one. The average person spends 6 months of their lifetime waiting for a red light to turn green. And you burn more calories sleeping than you do watching TV. In 1386, a pig in France was executed by public hanging for the murder of a child. One in every 5 adults believe that aliens are hiding in our planet disguised as humans. They look around this room and I know Joe believes in that because he's got a back corner of his farm. He takes his gun with him every time he goes back. If you believe you are truly 1 in a million, there are still approximately 7,184 people out there that are just like you. There are more possible iterations to the game of chess than there are atoms in the known universe. The average person walks the equivalent of 3 times around the world in a life. I didn't, we'll look these up to make sure that we're correct. Men are 6 times more likely to be struck by lightning than women. People are magnetic personality, I guess. Coca-Cola would be green if the coloring wasn't added to it. They say you cannot snore and dream at the same time. A coyote can hear a mouse moving underneath a foot of snow. I was at home the other day and asked the question, Siri, why am I so bad with women? She responded, I'm Alexa, you moron. There was a father who said, you better pass that exam or else you can forget that I'm your father. Son said, okay, Dad. Next day, the father said, how was your exam? Son said, who are you? I asked a friend of mine by phone what he was doing. He told me he couldn't talk because he was working on an aquathermal treatment of ceramics, aluminum, and steel while under a dangerously constrained environment. I was impressed. Until the following day when I learned that he was washing dishes with hot water under his wife's supervision. And there was a local coffee bar, a young woman was expounding her idea of the perfect mate to some of her friends. The man I marry must be a shining light amongst company. He must be musical, tell jokes, sing, and stay home at night. There was an old lady sitting over inside overheard that, said, honey, if that's all you want, buy a TV. There are differences here. This is the story of someone getting a haircut. A woman's version. Woman two, oh, you got a haircut. That's so cute. Woman one, do you think so? I wasn't sure when she gave me the mirror. I mean, you don't think it's too fluffy looking. Woman two, oh God, no, that was perfect. I'd love to get my hair cut like that, but my face is just too wide. I'm pretty much stuck with the stuff I get with this stuff, I think. Woman said, are you serious? I think your face is adorable. You could easily get one of those layer cuts that would look so cute and think. I was actually going to do that, except I was afraid it would accent my long neck. Oh, that's funny. I would love your long neck. Men's version? Get a haircut? Yep. Getting older is waking up thinking you're hungover. Then remembering, nope, that's just who I am. There was a teacher, she said, why are you late this morning? Student said, it's my alarm clock. Everybody got up except me. The teacher said, how did the alarm clock make you the only one not to get up? There are 8 of us in my family, and the alarm clock was only set for 7. It's a 5-minute walk from my house to the pub. It's a 35-minute walk from my pub to the house. The difference is staggering. There were 3 guys that were convicted of a very serious crime, and they were all sentenced to 20 years in solitary confinement. They're each allowed to bring one thing with them into the cell. The first guy asked for a big stack of books. The second guy asked for his wife. And the third guy asked for 1,000 cartons of cigarettes. At the end of the 20 years, they open up the first guy's cell. He comes out and says, I studied so hard. I'm so bright now, I could be a lawyer. It's terrific. They open the second guy's door, and here he comes with his wife, and they've got 5 new kids. He says, it was the greatest thing of my life. My wife and I have never been so close. I have a beautiful new family to prove it. They open the third guy's door, and he slapping in pockets and said, anybody got a match? Always remember that you're absolutely unique, just like everybody else. If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you probably wouldn't sit down for a month. Today's fine. If you've ever played dominoes, that's $1. If you're a Marine, thank you. If you're a veteran, this is where I was going to have everybody stand up, but thank you for your service.
Get $1?
If you can convince someone else to pay me $1, yes, you get 5. If you've ever written a letter to Santa, that's $1. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle, that's $1. If you watch Sesame Street, that's $1. If you use Windows, that's $1. If you're not wearing the window, that's $1. Now we'll go to Happy Bucks, and I guess my first one I'll give $10 because the election was positive last year.
All right, who's got happy bucks? Alex Aaron.
Well, since Mike brought it up, instead of giving him $1, I'm gonna donate $10. I've enjoyed a lot of things in my life, and it's because of all the veterans in this room, so thank you. So good. The rest of my happy bucks that I have here are for our Rotarians that won their elections. Judge-elect Andrew Hunt, Mayor Don Adams, Vice Mayor Pete Bales, and Councilman Chuck Kearns. I look forward to working with all of you for the next 4 years.
All right. City councilman and city councilman-elect, or vice mayor-elect, Bales, what you got?
I'm just gonna continue the train. I appreciate all of your support. It was a long campaign, but it was a fruitful campaign. And I look forward to serving another 4 years, so here's $20.
Well, yeah.
Oh, real quick.
Well, you know, that's gonna be fine for interrupting the superintendent.
I've got two happy bucks. One is obviously, for the school district passing our, permanent improvement levy. That'll help us, continue to work on our facilities and, work on safety and security. And the other one's more personal. Wednesday, my daughter had the opportunity to sign, for college. She's going to swim in college, and, she'll be attending Boston College.
Wow. All right. Okay.
Happy buck for kudos to Beavercreek Police. I almost got scammed, but they got involved. For the first time in my life, the cops came through. It's awesome. Thank you. I've never gone to the cops before. So this was an absolutely perfect. No,
A good experience.
good experience.
No cops involved for you this time, right? Jack Henderson, you have a happy buck?
On Monday, my family welcomed into the world my 7th great grandchild, Cameron.
Our Marine.
Little known fact about the Marine Corps, it was found in the bar.
Not shocking.
I'm not shocked.
Okay. Most of them are still there. Right. All right, other happy bucks. Shannon.
On a non-political note, it is the beginning of hockey season. This weekend is our first game in Toledo. It's kind of like their preseason game. Should be pretty intense. When you go that far north and play hockey, the guys take it serious, so I'm kind of excited.
And just to remind you, you have two guests here today.
And
Gotcha. And they all have all their fingers, so they're still doing well. Eric.
Okay, I've been waiting my turn. We had a successful Rotary Leadership Institute this past weekend. I guess I should give 3 happy bucks. The first is that young Don Adams finished part 3 and is a graduate now of RLI. David Brandenburg attended, and Shannon was one of my super facilitators. So we had 24 people go through. They had 39 registered, and they felt like flies Friday night and Saturday. So, but the next one is the 27th of January. If you really want to learn a lot about Rotary, sign up. And Alex can tell you that. Mike can tell you. Don can tell you. Any of the people that have attended can tell you how much you learn about Rotary by attending RLI. And the club will reimburse you the $60.
side caveat, Stephen Gilbert, longtime Beavercreek member, hasn't been very active. He went to the RLI program and said, hey man, this kind of inspired me to kind of try and kick it up again. So it's
Awesome. All right.
always a good thing.
Any other happy bucks? All right, how about announcements? Give Rod.
We'll be taking the flags down at Beavercreek Church Monday at 4 o'clock, so if you can help us, please come out.
Okay, ticket draw, Usually the call to action is not so subtle.
Season where we are working on our Christmas basket delivery project. Brandon and I have been working on this now for several weeks. We do have an increase in families this year, which is not surprising. Our delivery date will be Saturday, December 16th. We will deliver from Docks Market in Bellbrook. Once again, having that partnership. And we will be wrapping the gifts for the children on Tuesday, December 12th, starting around 10:15 or so at the fire station in Beavercreek. So I'll send out more information to sign up next week.
Fine.
Yeah, tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Memorial Church, the scene will usually a veterans memorial drive on the street from the park.
All right.
So Dave Brandenburg and I are gonna put together a day of service for Rotary next weekend. If you've been in our storage unit, it looks like a 14-year-old boy's bedroom. I'm familiar with that environment. That being said, we're gonna go over, make some shelving, do some cleanup, more hand, thank for lighter work. So, if you have any suggestions or would like to show up next week, I'll give you a little bit more information.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Any other announcements? All right. Ticket drawing. Again, half of the proceeds go to our Christmas basket project. The ticket number is 956582.
Joker.
William Parks we're looking for, right?
Oh.
All right.
How many cards are left?
No, like, well, wait, I think I'm going.
Don't forget to count between the hearts in your pocket. All right, so Keith Bales, will you come forward and introduce our speaker, please?
Sir, there's 18 cards.
18 cards left. 2 of them jokers.
34 losers. Today, I'm going to announce our speaker, Laura Hart from Clothes That Work. I wore this pullover specifically for you, and everybody will hear why in just a moment. Laura joined Clothes That Work in 2022 as the Director of Education and Outreach. She heads up the Workforce Education Initiative, and her and her team of professional volunteers present employment-ready workshops to the emerging workforce, including high school, college, and university students and resource-challenged job seekers. Laura's professional career spans the nonprofit and for-profit sectors. She's worked as a job recruiter and as a state director for the Academic Decathlon of Ohio, where she planned and oversaw the regional and state competitions. Before joining Clothes That Work, Laura worked at the Dayton Foundation in donor services. Laura was recently named to Leadership Dayton Class 2024. Congratulations. On a personal level, Laura has been married to her husband, Greg, for 28 years and counting. They have 3 boys, Connor, who lives in Houston, Garrett, who lives in Dayton, and Kellen is a junior at Alter High School. She is very active in her church and an avid fan of the University of Alabama. And it says roll tide. So please welcome Laura.
All right, good afternoon. Good to be here. I heard a lot of groans. Do I have any fellow Alabama SEC fans?
Yeah, right here.
Right there. For Alabama?
Alabama.
Oh, that's fine. Good. Oh, good. See, I am a alum of the University of Alabama, so, and I was born and raised in Alabama. So thank you so much for having me here today. It really is an honor. Such a pleasure to be able to come out and talk to people about Clothes That Work. Just by a show of hands, have any of you ever heard of Clothes That Work? Right, a good number, good. So hopefully you'll find some information that's a little bit helpful, new, and we'll see how things go. So, this is my clicker, right? Okay. And I need to go this way? Maybe?
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Okay. So close at work. What do? We clothe, educate, and empower individuals for employment success. So as Pete mentioned, my role is the workforce education director. So I teach a lot of classes on interview and resume, on soft skill, and we'll get to that in a second. But we were founded in 1998, so this is our 25th anniversary. So we've had a lot of fun this year celebrating that. We were founded by a group of women in the Montgomery County area that saw some changes in the welfare laws, and they were looking for ways to help women that were going to need to go back to work. And they looked at, well, there's childcare issues, there's transportation issues, but there's also clothing issues, because 25 years ago, pretty much in the workforce, a lot of people had to wear at least business casual or even business professional in attire. So that's how Clothes at Work became started. In 2003, so just 5 years after we started, we realized that the need for our services for men was really great. And there wasn't anybody that was meeting this need. So in 2003, we started not just servicing women, but servicing men as well. To date, 61% of our clientele are men. At the same time that we started in 1998, it was also a national organization that got its charter. It's called Dress for Success. There's one in Cincinnati, there's one in Columbus. It was, I believe, founded in New York, but they still to this day only serve women. So we oftentimes, especially lately, gotten a lot of calls from Cincinnati areas and stuff asking for our services because there's not a lot of options that serve men. So I don't know.
HDMI cord, it's okay.
So what do I do?
It's the HDMI cord, just put it over.
Okay, gotcha. So in 2005, we opened a boutique that's located next to our offices off of Edwin C. Moses. We're at the Job Center, just across the bridge from the Stewart Street Bridge. If you go across the bridge and you go one way to the arena for UD and the other way you go across to the Job Center, and we're located there. The boutique is something that you'll see in a second with the pictures. In 2017 is when the Workforce Education Initiative went into play, and that's the part that I do. In 2023, we launched our mobile outreach unit. You'll get to see that. And to date, we've served over 39,000 clients. So here's somebody that came, this is kind of a before. And just recapping our mission of clothing and education, and there it is afterwards. This isn't our client service picture. I was just saying earlier today to one of my coworkers, I'm like, I really need to update, but we now take our pictures a lot of times in front of what's called a step and repeat that has our logo and things on it. And I'm like, I like this picture because it shows our client service area. It's very much like a men's store. It doesn't feel, it feels very personal and very customized. So when clients come to us, they are served one-on-one with a client coach in this area for the men. And then for women, there it is inside the women's client service area. And this particular model, client modeled at our annual fall luncheon that we have at St. Clair every year that we just completed a couple of weeks ago. So speaking of client coaching, that's how we utilize a referral network. So clients are referred to us through a network of referral partners. We have a referral partner in Greene County. It is United Way Strong Families program, and that referral partner utilizes Greene County Job and Family Services, and there's caseworkers through Humble and Bellbrook Sugar Creek Community Center. And I'll talk about that in a minute when I talk about our mobile unit. But we have a number of referral partners. And so we do not do the vetting of clients. If our referral partner says, serve this client, we serve that client. So they come to us, they're paired one-on-one with a client coach. They receive a complete interview outfit if they need that. And then upon receipt of a job, they receive 3 to 4 additional outfits that are needed for their workplace. So for somebody that might be working in construction, that can be jeans and steel-toed boots. on a factory floor, it could be steel-toe boots. It could be scrubs for medical. It could be, business casual for an office. So it's really whatever the clothing needs are for that individual. While they're paired one-on-one with these client coaches, they're given tips and advice to help them with their interview, and there's no cost to the client. Another client coaching service that we do offer that does have a cost is what's called our fee for service. We really target this to a college student that's getting ready to go for their maybe internship or first interviews upon graduation, and maybe they just don't have the discretionary income to go to a department store or a men's clothing store and buy that big suit that they might need for an interview. So they can come to us and we will outfit them in an appropriate interview attire. And that's, shirts, shoes, belt, suit, the whole bit. And we do that for $40. So that's a really great savings for somebody that just doesn't have that discretionary income and needs that service. As I mentioned, the Workforce Education Initiative, that's my part. That's kind of my thing that I do. I teach classes on resume building, interview skills, and soft skills that are needed in the workplace. I get a lot of requests for this because those soft skills are what we hear more and more are missing. So that can be professionalism. It can be how to communicate in an assertive manner, but not an aggressive manner. How not to be passive or even passive aggressive. How to manage your time well. It can be teamwork. There's a number of different soft skills that we're getting requests for. But in addition, one of our partners is Montgomery County Reentry. So they have 9 cohorts a year. I'll go in and teach a resume building class to each of those cohorts. I partner with Miami Valley Works, and twice a month I teach interview classes to people who are going through the Miami Valley Works program through Goodwill Easter Seals. And there's a number of other ones. But we have received a lot of grant dollars that are asking us to come into the high schools. And so I go into any high school that ask me, and there's no charge. We provide that service because we have had employers that have been very generous, and they see the value of teaching these things, these additional career readiness skills to high school students. And actually, I've been getting a lot of requests to go in and teach middle school for specifically soft skills. They're saying more and more, we need to get this earlier rather than later, so they start to understand. So I have a whole series of workshops that I'll be doing at the beginning of the year in Fairmont High School, specifically for their middle school, and Dayton Leadership Academy has asked me to come in and speak to their 8th graders for the month of December as those students prepare to exit Dayton Leadership Academy and prepare for interviews to interview with various schools that they might be going on to if they're not choosing to go into the public school. So there's a lot of opportunity here. I do utilize guest facilitators as well. So we utilize a lot of volunteers, but this is one way. I predominantly do most of the workshops, but I do have guest facilitators, people that might have been in HR or just in some type of professional career that want to go in and speak to the students. We provide the curriculum, the PowerPoints and all of that, the activities, and they do that. But as to date, I've probably done since for 2023, probably about 175 workshops this year. All right, so this is our boutique. So when clothing is donated to us, we first and foremost source it for our clients, but if we can't use it for our clients for some reason, but maybe it's too trendy, maybe it's just not the right thing for interview outfits and stuff, we can put it in our boutique. 100% of the proceeds from our boutique go to fund the mission of Clothes That Work. So as I mentioned about the individual that might need steel-toe boots, and we don't have it in our inventory, then we'll go and purchase those boots that are needed for that individual. The boutique is run by volunteers, and anybody can shop it. It's open Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay, I said this right, Laura. Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5. Friday, 10 to 3, the second Saturday of the month from 9 to 12. We have men's and women's clothes. It's also a great resource for our clients to be able to come back and shop if they so choose. It's kind of a hidden secret of Dayton. We don't really like for it to be a hidden secret, but we have a lot of great response from it. So our mobile outreach initiative, this is what we're super excited about. Commissioner Gold over there. He's very familiar with it. Let's see if it's got a second picture. There it is. So we just took possession of this in June, well, May, June of this year. It's a customized 38-foot mobile unit. And we take it on the road. So in 2018, when we were doing our 5-year strategic plan, this was kind of the completion of that 5-year strategic plan. That was even prior to COVID, when we learned that there were going to be even more transportation barriers. But we've seen a reduced amount of traffic in the job center. And we realized that we just needed to be able to take our services mobile. So as I mentioned, even with the colleges, UD students could walk across the bridge even if they didn't have transportation and get to us. But a Wright State student or a Central State student, that's not the case. So having the mobile unit, matter of fact, I just had a conversation with Edison State up in Piqua yesterday, and for them wanting to bring the mobile unit up to help some of their students going in the business school. So it's got 2 dressing rooms in it. We outfit it with the sizing of the clients that we're going to be serving that day. And I apologize, I don't actually have a great interior picture of it, but you can attest, it's pretty incredible, right?
It is. I've got pictures.
Oh, you do? Okay, so you can see pictures. All right, so the clothing, how do we get our clothing? So a lot of our clothing comes to us through donations. This is Centerville High School actually did a clothing drive for us last spring, and there's a whole long story to that, but their DECA students decided to host a clothing drive in Centerville. They had over 4,500 units of clothing donated, and that really made a remarkable difference in our inventory. The students managed that whole clothing drive, and we were fortunate enough that they had such a good experience working with us that they do a spirit chain between Fairmont and Centerville each year, and they chose Clothes That Work as one of the recipients from the spirit chain. And Centerville High School raised $86,000. So we were one of 2 charities. So that was a pretty nice donation. There was one student that raised over $12,000 herself, which was pretty incredible. So we were really blessed by that. But we have a lot of organizations that do clothing drives for us, a lot of businesses. Matter of fact, I just had a fellow classmate from my leadership Dayton just said, hey, I want to host a clothing drive he works for one of the defense contractors, and I think there's a lot of people that would like to donate. So we have barrels that we bring out. We have kind of a specific list. We have clothing drop-off locations, in addition to where obviously people can always drop off at Clothes That Work. But Abbey Credit Union up north of here, and let's see, Jewish Community Center, Oakwood Florist, there's Pieces of Style. I'm still not done. Anyway, so there's a number of different places that you can drop off. So one of the ways, how can you help? You can donate your clothes. You can host a clothing drive.
It's not you, it's the cord.
Okay. Okay. You can shop at our boutique. You can host a shopping party. We do have shopping parties at our boutique. Financial donations are always needed. We utilize a lot of volunteers. As I mentioned, I utilize volunteers for the workforce education, but when we take that mobile unit to Xenia, to Greene County Job and Family Services, we're using client coaches that are volunteers. So we're always looking for volunteers in Greene County. Certainly volunteers that might want to come to our offices in Montgomery County as well. You can come to our events. You can talk to those about who we are. Talk to your friends. I mentioned our event. We just recently had our luncheon at Sinclair. The 26th of October, we had about 462 people there. And I talked about the pop-up. We do a pop-up boutique at that luncheon. And in 2.5 hours of time, we did $18,000 worth of sales in just that pop-up boutique. So it's a pretty remarkable event that we have. We set a goal of over $100,000, and we did raise that. But what we're really excited about is just the growth, the opportunity to expand into Greene County. We've been approached, as I mentioned, up into Miami County. This mobile unit is going to allow us to expand our services. But the workforce education side, aside from the mobile unit, that's something that, I want people to know about, because that's really easy. That's just me going and doing those services. But the client coaching, we can, always set up to bring the mobile unit out to provide those services as well. Any questions? Yeah.
What's a shopping party?
So at our boutique, we have a conference room that's associated next to it. And so we just had one last night. And people can reserve the boutique for after hours. And we close it down and we really set it up nice. And people a lot of times will bring in food and that kind of thing. And they just we ask them to invite at least 20 friends. And it's just a different way to have some kind of get together. People are always looking for places to get together with friends. And last night it was somebody's sorority event. We do a large shopping party for the women of Taft at the DAI. That's actually next Wednesday that they host. So we'll take it on site. They invite a couple hundred people, so it makes it worth the while for us to move all of that stuff there. But yeah, it's just another way for people to get familiar with clothes at work and have fun shopping. Yeah.
If people donate clothes to you, do they have those dry cleaned before they give them to you, or do you do that when you get them?
Great question. So we obviously would like for our clothing to always be cleaned when it comes to us. But we have an arrangement with a dry cleaner. So if we need to clean it, if it's something that's worth sending off to clean, then we certainly will do that. I didn't mention, when the clothing comes to us, we sort through it. We first choose for client services. If we can't use for client services, we can use it for the boutique. And if we can't use it for that, we do donate to St. Vincent's because we only have a limited amount of storage. So sometimes we get some great things, but it's out of season and we don't have a place to store it. And so we pass it on to St. Vincent. Yes.
Lady that was really one of the major stimulus to this was Paula McElwain. I served with her as a county commissioner when we opened that store at the job center.
Oh.
But she was one of the major pushers of that.
She was one of the founders, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yep.
So you mentioned employers talking about soft skills being fleeting in the workforce or prospective workforce. What do they tell you specifically they're seeing, and then what do you see when you're teaching those classes?
I teach a lot on communication. I hear a lot that there's just not great communication from employees, and it oftentimes feels like I'm just teaching the basics of the basic. But one of the slides that I say a lot to, it's incorporated in a number of different things, is I have a slide that says, why do employers hire you? And it has attitude and personality, image and appearance, communication skills, and job skills. And I always give the caveat, they're like, this is after they've looked at your resume, right? Because if the job posting says that you need to have a CDL, and your resume says you have a CDL, right? They might continue to go on through. But if you don't, if you've got to have a college degree and you don't have a college degree, it may not go on through. So this is after they've looked at you and they've scheduled you for an interview. They're bringing you in for an interview and they're looking at these 4 things. And I always ask, which one do you think matters? And I get all kinds of different responses. And sometimes they get it right, but the statistics are that 40% is attitude and personality. And one day I had this student who was trying to be a smart aleck, and he said, no, it's image and appearance. And I said, well, why do you say that? And rightly so. I mean, I just talked about how to dress for an interview and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, well, if I worked at McDonald's, like I'd much rather have somebody, not if I worked at McDonald's, if I came into McDonald's, I'd much rather have somebody that's unfriendly, but was clean serving me. And I go, okay, I get that. I said, but let's look at it from an employer standpoint. So if you come in and your hands are dirty, maybe you worked on your car the night before and the grease is caught underneath your hands. What are they going to tell you to do? They're going to have you go back, scrub your hands. Maybe they're going to give you a brush. Maybe your uniform's dirty. And they're going to say, okay, I need you to change your uniform. They might have a shirt for you or whatever. But I said, or maybe you went and worked out and you really just smell bad. And they just are going to have to send you home. They're going to have a conversation with you and say, hey, when you come in, you need to, make sure you shower before you come in. But I said, you're unfriendly. Now, how are they going to fix that? What are they going to do? And he's like, I feel it's a much harder conversation for an employer to have somebody to try. Chick-fil-A does a great job, right? They really focus on customer service. It's my pleasure. But not everybody can have that time to do that or has that program in place to teach somebody how to be friendly in customer service. So the reason it's so important is because it's a lot harder for employers to solve a bad attitude, rotten personality than it is. I can teach you reply to your emails in 24 hours or by the end of the business day. I can teach you how I need you to put your hair back, or I need you to do these different things in your appearance. I can teach you, if you work at Starbucks, how to make the 400 plus drinks. But I can't teach you so well how to have a good attitude or how to work well with others. So just laying that groundwork to students and to others to say, you know, you control this. First and foremost, you really control this. And then we go from there and talk about other things. So that answers your question, hopefully so. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I ran my business interviewing people, you're interviewing someone for a maintenance worker and they come in looking sloppy, you probably got the right person. But now you're gonna talk about what they know, what they don't know. And, you know, if you're hiring somebody to do a job that's gonna require them to look nice and stuff, and they come in looking kind of scruffy, I think that's an X against them, and they're gonna have to use their personality and their knowledge to get over that hump.
That's true too. Yeah. I agree. Yes.
Is there any way that you track how successful, you know, how much of a difference are you making in people getting jobs?
That's a great question. So we are trying to get better at that. The challenge with it is because we are a referral network, we are dependent on our referral partners providing us a lot of that information. We're having lots of conversations to say, you know, if they don't give us that information, how do we get it? Obviously, if they're coming back for a second appointment to get clothing, then, you know, that's a good indicator that they've gotten a job. But how long they've kept it and those kinds of things, that would require us to stay in contact with the clients all the time. And we unfortunately just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And the unique thing, like with the mobile unit, we're actually giving them more of a week's worth of clothing when they're seeing us. So then we don't even completely know unless we get the metrics from the referral partners. So it's not as great as what we'd like for it to be in knowing. I survey all of, you know, the people that go through my workshops, and I do get that information, but from a client coaching standpoint, and we get a lot of great feedback from the experience. People really like it. We have success stories. Actually, our keynote speaker at our luncheon was a lady who received our services about 20 years ago. And she now has earned her bachelor's, she's gotten her master's, she's on staff at Sinclair. She has quite an amazing success story. And we do highlight those success stories, but to be able to give you real numbers, unfortunately, we just don't have a great way to capture that at this point. But it is very much something that is in discussions. It's right now, it's just the nature of our model that makes it a little challenging. Anybody else? Yeah.
You might have said this and I just missed it. You said it's referral based. How do you refer somebody or who refers somebody?
So it's referral partners that have developed a relationship with us. So Catholic Social Services, for instance, Montgomery County Reentry, Care Source Life Services. Anybody can be a referral partner. And to be honest, whether that's not for profit or profit, and it's not that bad. It depends on the budgets of the individuals as to like a nonprofit. It's done on a sliding scale, and the budgets are taken into account. We try to offset with grants when we can. I mean, the county is a referral partner, but in full disclosure, Montgomery County has maxed out their contract right now. So we can't, when we have a walk-in, we have to figure out how to serve them. We either have to figure out a referral partner that we can send them to, or we're looking at how to stop for that. We try not to send people away, but we also have to be careful in the nature of our business for people not just to go, oh, just go over to Close at Work, they'll take care of you. Because we're really about preparing people for job interviews. We're not just a clothing bank where our focus is on workforce. So it's different than We do have a partnership with Red Cross. If somebody were to experience a house fire, we are a resource for them if they need that. That's something, yeah.
I live in Clark County, where are your rural people in Clark County?
So we're developing those. Clark County is one that, actually just not too long ago, I went and spoke to the Job Readiness Task Force up there. Had conversations with, Springfield Foundation and, Cliff Park School. We've had conversations with, Springfield schools. And so we're in early conversations with that. With this mobile unit, that's definitely one of the areas that we, have on our radar. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I heard a lot of mention about the Marine Corps. I have to give a plug. My middle son just ran the Marine Corps 50K, just with the 29th, I think it was, something like that. He had a good friend that passed away that was in the Marines, and he did that in memory of him. But thanks so much for having me. And please, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. There's my contact information.
We're gonna have her sign a book we're gonna dedicate to her engagement here. 10 beautiful things. So appreciate that, Laura. All right. So again, next week, we'll have a break the following week, but next week is Friends Show Choir. Really consider having someone as a guest and letting us know so we can accommodate the food. Our greeters are Dave Dunce and Beth Cusack next week. And please keep an eye on upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and Facebook. And we'll say prayers for somebody having surgery coming up. Charles Curran. Right, he'll be running that 50K here. Anything else for the good of the club? All right, if everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, see you guys later. How much?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. So they're doing. Yeah, I was still trying to say that it kept hanging up. And I certainly can't.